This is the day a billionaire kills me. Like this is that moment I've been waiting for. So what do you do when a buyer says they want the house you're in? You take it away. You take it away. Because if I said, yeah, let's do it, then he'd start to think about it. What's the price? Okay, what are the comps? What's this, what's this, what's this? So the first thing I said was, next house is asking $25 million. We walk in, he's like, this is shit. Like, I should never have shown him that big house. Buyers don't know what they want until you show it to them. But sometimes, maybe you shouldn't show them things that are $140 million. Because the only person that had ever bought a house that expensive at that time, that's 2021, was Jeff Bezos. Who spent, say, wow, look at all that luck. Tons and tons and tons of luck. But you don't know that on that one, I had to follow up for 5 years. I've since sold that 5-year guy. Sold him a place in the Hamptons for $73 million. Sold him a place in Miami for $33 million. Sold him a place in London for $60 million. All because I followed up. Like, what is sales? Being in sales is generating leads, but what is selling? Selling is the transfer of enthusiasm and the transfer of confidence. You're transferring confidence all the time. If you're selling your loan, you're selling the real estate, you're transferring that confidence. And you understand that the buyer just wants to know that you know what you're doing. Woo!
All right. Est-ce que vous êtes prêts pour Ryan Serhant? C'est tout? Est-ce que vous êtes prêts pour Ryan Serhant? I love it. Guys, Ryan, il nous a spécialement demandé de l'introduire en français. Ça veut dire quoi ça? Ça veut dire qu'il veut voir à quel point les Québécois, on est prêts à l'accueillir. L'énergie, il veut voir l'énergie des Québécois. Alors on n'a pas le choix de augmenter, avoir un tremblement de terre au Palais des Congrès de Montréal. Tellement que le Palais des Congrès, ils ne veulent pas nous recevoir l'année prochaine. Right? Êtes-vous prêts?
Guys, est-ce que vous êtes prêts? On est au Palais des Congrès, on n'est pas au Centre Bell, mais il faut qu'on fasse autant de bruit que le Centre Bell. Guys, est-ce qu'on est prêts?
Yes! Let's go!
Amazing. Cue music.
You've done so much in these 10 years. You've built $1 billion business. You have 2 hit TV shows.
Branding is really just consistency, pushing it out there over and over. Personal branding is your reputation, making sure that your reputation is the same over and over and over. I think last year we closed on $721 million and we put in contract in total about $1.2 billion. You have to make that jump. You have to burn your boats. No plan B. You know more than they do that it's something that they need. You're going to turn wants into needs. You're going to negatives into positives just like that because you're going to work on it every day. And you're going to change the way you work because you are the greatest advisor in the history of the world. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you look at yourself in the mirror first thing in the morning, you tell yourself that. And if someone doesn't want to work with me today, shame on them.
Sans plus tarder, Ryan Serhant! Serhant!
Oh, sparklers. What's up, Montreal? What's going on? Okay, assis-toi. I'm learning. Was that good? Did I do well? Great. Cool. Awesome. How's the day so far? So far, so good? Yeah. Thank you to Sarah Jean. Thank you to Jeffrey, the whole crew. This has been awesome. I got here last night to a few of you that I was able to spend dinner with. We had a great time last night. It was awesome. And then I didn't eat food until I had something called poutine. Like right before this. I don't know how you eat all of that. I didn't eat all of it, but man, oh man. Now I know why you're all so energized and like ready to go all the time. But I love this city, Montreal. I wish I could spend more time here. It is super, super fun, and it's alive, and you're all great people. Like, you're all great people. You work together. You hang out together, right? You do deals together. You all go to Chez Perret together. That's where we go after? I know, that's where they, anyway. So, how's the year? Market good? Yeah? Yeah, how was last year? Good? Good? Are you still not allowing foreigners to buy property in Canada? All right, so merci. Thank you so much. It's been great. Just kidding. Just kidding. I've thought about opening in Canada a lot, actually. $1 Million Listing played here for a long time with you because we did that show on the air for 10 years. How many of you seen that show? No? Yeah. And I've always had fun, and I would come up to Canada, and everyone's so nice here. Everyone's so great, and the property is great, and the deals are great. How many of you have ever been a part of our Sell It Like Sirhan community or been a part of the courses or anything? Handful of you? Okay, we need to get those numbers up. Okay. But now it's so much fun because we're getting so many Canadians who are coming down to the United States, who are buying, who are investing back in, and I can't wait till you open up your borders and we can do more business back and forth. But it is a weird, weird time to be alive, to be in this business. There's new tech all the time. There's AI. Actually, OpenAI put out a notice, I think it was 3 hours ago, that now they just have text to video, all through OpenAI. So now maybe I won't need Skylar anymore over here. Right, Skylar, wave goodbye. Maybe this is your last day. AI will replace you and replace all of us. I'm just kidding. I don't think that actually happens. I view the future very, very much as those that create opportunity to empower all of us are going to be the most successful businesses on the planet versus people that try to create businesses that try to replace all of us. And there are businesses that try to do that all the time, all the time. I remember in 2019, I'd been doing real estate since like 2008. You know, I got into the business the day the subprime mortgage collapsed, right? The day the world fell apart. Lehman Brothers in New York City filed for bankruptcy. The world kind of went up in flames, and that was my first day in the real estate business as a real estate agent. It was me in cowboy boots and, you know, my collared shirt, and I was doing little rental apartments. I was sharing a bathroom with 16 other people in Koreatown. I wasn't from New York City. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, yes, real estate is the best. And then I would meet a client, and then they would get fired. And then I would meet another client, and then they would get fired. Or their company would go under, or they would file for bankruptcy, and it was just brutal. And I just thought that that's what life was like all the time. But I loved getting into the business at a bad time, because when you get into business at a bad time, when things are tough, when there's either a global apocalypse or global conflict or high interest rates or regulations or rules that are stopping you from doing the business you thought you could do just a year or 2 years ago, then you know you only have up to go from there. Markets go up and markets go down, and then they go right back up again, and then they go right back down, and then right back up, and it happens honestly, since the dinosaurs. Also, little tidbit, I say that to sellers all the time. How many of you in here are real estate agents? Right? Great. So a little tip, when you're talking to a seller, let's say, or a buyer, and they don't want to do a deal because of 50,000 or 100,000, right? It's a small number compared to the whole purchase price, and they're racking their brains, and I don't know if I should do this. I will use this line sometimes, where I'll say, you know who else was really, really stressed out one day? The dinosaurs. And then a comet came and hit the earth and killed them all, and now they don't get to buy beautiful houses or condos either. So if you stress out about the money, what if a comet came down today? Especially with older people, it works every time. Use that. It's a little tip. Write it down in your notebook. It's for free. So then fast forward, I built my team. I got onto a TV show called $1 Million Listing New York, which didn't really help me. It probably hurt me more than anything, especially in the beginning, because nobody watches TV and then calls the person they see on TV. But then I built my team up. I used it as fuel for my fire to ignite my lead flow, right? What's our job as salespeople? To get leads. Your number one job as a salesperson is to generate business. That is it. Everything else is the work, right? The job is to generate business. And so that's what I used the show for. That's what I used everything for as I built up my team. And then by 2019, so 2019, my team was about 65 people. Because I'm a real estate broker just like you all. I deal with mortgage lenders who are in this room. I do deals all day long. I was backstage for a long time, actually, listening to you all have a great time, doing deals on my phone, right, trying to put offers together. And what I've learned over that time, and I think in 2019, the team was 65 people. I think we did, it was just over $1 billion in sales. Our gross commission in 2019 was like $20 million. And so I used that. It gets better. So I used that, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go start my own business. I'm going to start my own company. Right? I believe in branding. I built myself up as a personal brand, as a real estate agent, so I'm going to go and I'm going to build my own brand now as a company. Right? That's what I'm going to do. It was 2019, so I was thinking to myself, 2020, beginning of a new decade. That's what I'm going to do, because from 2010 to 2020, I built up my career as a real estate agent. So 2020 to 2030, what's my mission 2030? I think about that all the time. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be the CEO of the greatest real estate company of all time. Nothing can stop me. Everything's going to go according to plan. Everything will be perfect at all times. And then people started getting sick and coughing, and like China, and then Italy, and then people were banging on pots, and everything got weird, and then COVID hit, and then the whole country got shut down, and New York City became this like epicenter. The fire department stopped going to work, police officers stopped going to work, we didn't know what to do, everything went on lockdown, and everyone had to leave. You've seen that movie I Am Legend with Will Smith? That's what they said it was. The police officer said that was what was going to happen. They were going to close it all off and keep the virus in the city, and then we were just all going to die. And so that was early 2020 as I was thinking about starting my business and building that brand. So just like I got into the business in 2008 at the worst of times, I then went to start my own company in the absolute worst of times. Every other firm was laying people off and cutting costs, sheltering in place, hunkering down. Me, I was by myself saying, you know what? This seems like a great idea to start my own company. Because when everybody else looks this way, I've always tried to look this way. When everyone said, don't do reality TV, I said, that probably means I should do it. When everybody said, do not go and start your own company in the middle of a pandemic, I said, okay, well, if everybody's saying that, that probably means that I should do it. As long as I do one thing, which is bet on myself. Because no one gives a shit. No one's going to bet on me. No one's going to care. Everyone's going to hope that I fail, especially in New York. But if I bet on myself and I make that sacrifice on myself and on my life and do everything I possibly can to build, and I just pick success as the only option forward, I cut all the nets in front of me, then my win is my only option. Like, there is no failure. So I'm not even planning for it. When I first moved to New York, before I got into real estate, I told myself I moved to New York to be an actor. That's why I came there after college. And I didn't get a survival job, which is like you wait tables, you bartend, right, because you need to pay your rent. And I had a little bit of money saved up because my grandfather had died, and I had done a lot of like work on ranches and manual labor, and I was a roofer, putting like shingles on roofs and stuff, so I'd saved up that money. And I told myself that if I got a survival job, that's what I would do for the next 20 years. So I can't get a survival job because that's what I'm going to do, and I don't want to ever be comfortable. I always want to put myself in positions of uncomfort. And that's been a massive, massive part of my secret sauce moving forward. And I think that's probably why I wanted to start my own company in the middle of a pandemic in New York City, where everybody was boarded up in their rooms, and you probably saw it on the news. I don't know what it was like here, but in New York, it was heavy. There was no COVID in Florida, though, so we did a lot of business in Florida, which was great. But in New York, everything was totally shut down. And I had a townhouse on West 17th Street because I was still brokering deals. I was trying to build my company over here while still brokering deals over here, and we weren't allowed to go and show because we were not essential workers, and it was tough. And we had this townhouse that was on the market for $17 million on 17th Street, okay, 357 West 17th Street. You can look it up. And it was hard because we had to sell it. The developer and the owner were really stressed out, and they blamed me for our inability to sell it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a global pandemic going on right now. It's not totally my fault. And like, well, you need to figure it out. You need to get it sold. So, okay, so what do? We turned to video. So I knew as part of the new company that I was building that we were going to have a production company as a part of it, which would eventually later turn into Sirhan Studios. So we made sure that we had the best tour with me. I went there, I made a tour of it, right? No masks, no gloves, no nothing. Went through, and then we got our team and we started running ads against the tour. And we started targeting kids. Because what really are these property tours that we do on YouTube, on TikTok now, Instagram Reels, Shorts, X, Threads if you use that, LinkedIn. It's infotainment. No one cares about houses. People just want to be entertained. And so let's make a really, really entertaining video of this townhouse on West 17th Street for $17 million. And instead of trying to target the buyer, the buyer's wife or the buyer's husband, the way we've always done, all these kids are home from school. They're stuck on their phones. They're either playing Fortnite or talking to their friends, or they're scrolling through social media. So let's make sure we make a really, really, really entertaining property tour, and we're going to target kids. And so we targeted kids all over the tri-state area outside of New York City. And a 15-year-old girl in New Jersey saw the video and showed it to her parents. Her parents were looking for a townhouse on the east side of Manhattan. So Manhattan's one big island on the east side. That's where they wanted to be, just over there. And they said to their broker, hey, what's this video? What's this house? Our daughter said we should come and take a look at it. And brokers are lazy, right? It's not that they're lazy. It's just they have so much going on. You have a buyer, you set up your searches, that's all you do. And the broker said, well, you don't want to see anything on the west side. That house isn't what you told me you wanted to see. But buyers don't know what they want until you show it to them, right? Never know what they want until you show it to them. And so that agent reached out to us and said, hey, we can't come and see the house, but would they sell? Long story short, by creating a unique property tour that targets kids for that townhouse on 17th Street in the beginning days of COVID, which really set that light bulb moment off for me, we sold that house for $15 million, completely sight unseen, because of the daughter. And so then I started thinking about, okay, so then what is brand? Like, what am I really trying to build going forward? Everybody knows me as a real estate agent on a reality TV show. But I want to be a lot more than that, right? I want to build a lot more than that. And as you think about brands and you think about what you're known for, what is it, right? Brand starts with your core identity. It's what you know yourself to be. Same thing with products. If you're trying to build a product, a widget, a thing, a computer, what is the core identity that's attached to that thing? Okay? That core identity then becomes perception. It's how the world knows you, right? When it leaves your lips and it leaves your fingertips, as you become a thought leader and you put yourself out there. So core identity becomes perception. Perception becomes what? Reputation, because then people talk about you behind your back. And that reputation slowly, over time, like a pot of boiling water, turns into brand. And so early days of 2020, we had just sold that townhouse for $15 million, sorry. I wish I had sold it for 17, we didn't. We sold it for $15 million, said, okay, we're gonna build a company that is a flywheel. We're gonna have organic content, top of funnel. We're gonna sell through social. Everybody thinks it's a joke. Everybody just does it on their own. No one is consistent with it. We're gonna make it a big part of our value proposition. We're going to create property tours of everything. I'm going to have a built-in production company that creates property tours for all of our properties and helps build brands for those properties. Because when you're selling a house, what are you selling? You're not selling the walls. You're not selling the garage. You're not even selling the windows or the view. You're selling the story. Like, I don't even think I'm that great of a salesperson. What I am is a storyteller. And I tell a story about this house, I tell a story about that house, and then people buy into the story. So top of funnel, and you should think about this too. Whether you run your own company or you run your own team or you have your own independent agency and you're just 3 of you or just 1 of you. Every single person in this room is an independent enterprise. You're all moguls, whether you know it or not. And so top of funnel, you have this amazing thing now in your phone that allows you to put out passive awareness all day long, every single day. And I learned it when I sold that house, basically to a 15-year-old kid for $15 million in the middle of COVID when no one was buying anything. And then that organic funnel on top drives lead flow to you. And that lead flow to you, which is all we have to do as salespeople, creates people who need salespeople. And then if you're looking to build, whether you're in mortgages, you're doing loans, you're doing real estate, it then creates other salespeople. And that's how I built my team. That's how when we launched our company, I was able to think about changing my brand from Ryan, who started as the real estate agent who just did rentals and cowboy boots, to Ryan, the CEO. Because if you're not evolving your personal brand as a salesperson, whatever you sell, then your customers are evolving around you. People ask me all the time about the market. And so, well, I had a tough year last year because the market was bad. Well, I don't know about this year. The market might be tough. 2 years ago, the market was so hot. It was so great. I've always been of the opinion that the market doesn't dictate your outcome, right? It's like a sports game. Like it's too cold or it's too hot. You can always blame something. But the market only dictates your strategy. It does not dictate how much money you make. So as we all think about the future now, we think about what's going to make us all successful going forward. Right? We think about the market really as a tool. And we think about this thing that you have in your phone and your ability to build awareness and attention by building your brand as an amazing tool. And I've made all the brand mistakes, trust me. A lot of them are on TV. And if I think back to like where I kind of figured things out, like early on, you know, I was just doing rental apartments, just trying to pay my rent. I had to make $2,000 a month in those early days. If I could make $2,000 a month, I could stay in New York City. If I didn't make $2,000 a month, I would have to move home, and that would be the worst. Right? It's to move back home with your parents, to do the worst, to go do manual labor and to get some other type of job. And I remember some of my first clients were people that I would meet on the street corner. How many people in here do rentals like I did? Your rentals, there's like 5 of you. Unfair. So that's how I started. I started at the corner. I started talking to people at coffee shops. I would meet college kids on street corners and try to find them and their roommates different apartments. I would meet pregnant women, you know, and because pregnant women need more space eventually, you know. So I would meet pregnant women and I would tell them that used to be my thing. My initial brand, if I really think about it, before TV, before all the big deals, was I was the real estate agent to pregnant women. Because I could go up to them, and what do people like, right? How do you build a client relationship? I was talking about this to people at dinner last night. You have the 2 C's, right? You immediately hit them with a compliment, and then you find something in common. And pregnant women love compliments. You look great. And then what do we have in common? You look like you need a new bedroom. I happen to be in real estate. We should work together. And those were my initial deals. I'm still friends with some of those early clients. And that was my initial brand. Ryan, real estate agent, pregnant women. That was my and. That's how I put things together. That was not on TV, but now you know. So that's how I started. And then I moved over to $1 Million Listing New York. I went to that audition in Times Square when everybody told me not to. Every single person told me not to. That's kind of like a running theme in my life, I think. Everything that I've really done that's made a difference in my life has been because every other person told me not to do it. And I showed up to that audition with 3,000 real estate agents. 3,000. I don't know how many there are in Montreal, but in New York, there are 80,000 real estate agents. Oh, so there's less here. You're lucky. So there's 80,000 in New York City fighting for deals every single day. And I had to stand out. So then that show happens, and then I get on that, and I remember waiting for the show to air. And it's like, all right, got it. I got a TV show, right? It's going to change my life. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. And I remember waiting for the phone to ring, like sitting there like a little kid. The show aired. I'm waiting for that phone to ring. And nobody called me. Because apparently no one watches TV and then picks up the phone and is like, hey, just saw you on TV. Do you want to come and sell me a $10 million condo? No one does that. Actually, in that first week, I just remembered this, a woman did reach out to me because she saw me, and she said her and her husband wanted to go find an apartment in New York City, and their budget was small. It was like $1 million at the time. And I was so excited because I was like, oh, this is why I did this thing. I'm going to be number one. I'm going to be the greatest. And I showed them apartments for like 3 months, and then they totally disappeared on me. Totally ghosted me. But they looked like they had money, and so I followed up with them. I followed up with them forever. My brand went kind of from Ryan, cowboy boots, and pregnant women to Ryan, who will follow up with you until you buy or die. That's kind of what I became known for. Ryan, and then follow up. And I followed up with those people for a long, long time. And then she would pop back up and say, oh no, now I want to see Lower Manhattan. Oh, what about Brooklyn? Let's go look at over things there. And I'm sure you've all had clients like this, right? They give you the runaround, you show them things, you show them. They don't know what they want. You keep trying to figure out what you're going to show them, but you don't want to push too much, and then they disappear on you. Totally ghost you. And so I followed up. That was like 2012. This is going way back. I followed up every other week. Fast forward 5 years, and they finally replied to me. It was December 2017. They finally replied to me after following up for 5 years, every other week, like clockwork. And I was just so excited they were alive, because my whole thing was, you will buy with me or you will die. With me? Maybe. I don't know. And they got together, and the guy reached out to me and said, hey, sorry, I've been a little bit busy. I was like, yeah, for sure. No problem. It's only been 5 fucking years. It's okay, though. I work for free until I don't. So how can I help you? Absolutely. Let's go do this. Like, we got divorced. I said, no way. No, that's crazy. Awesome. What are you looking for? A place in Soho. Okay, great. Met him the next day. Showed him places in Soho. By the next week, he had bought a place for $16 million. Because we followed up for 5 years. So, Ryan, pregnant women. Ryan, follow up until you die. Or buy. Or get divorced. But then you have to keep evolving, right? As part of the core identity. That's phase 1 to figuring out your personal brand. To figuring out your product's brand. What is that core identity? And so I wanted it to evolve. So then I said, okay, Ryan, CEO. I'm about to be the CEO of my own team. Now, this was before I started my own company. I'm going to be the CEO of my own team. I'm going to find business, keep business, do business. For those of you who have read Sell It Like Sirhan, I talk about finder, keeper, doer all the time. Follow up, follow through, follow back all the time. That's how you build in this business. So now I'm the CEO of my own team. I'm thinking about myself at the top of this enterprise. And what does that mean? That means putting myself in situations that can elevate my career. Meaning, for example, a couple years ago, my wife likes to go to really fancy restaurants, like really, really expensive ones. Like where you take a bite of rice and you're like, I'm bankrupt. I'm bankrupt. I'm bankrupt. And so there's this place near Central Park. It's very, very fancy. It's called Masa. For those of you who go there, I apologize ahead of time to every guy in this room. So we go there, but guess who can really afford to go there? Rich people, wealthy people. They can afford to go there for breakfast. Me, I'm going there and I'm just like, I'm here for the rewards points on the credit card. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to cash those in. This is going to be great and you're going to be happy. But I'm a CEO now in my brain. Okay? Big piece of advice that I got before I started $1 Million Listing and anything else I've ever done is you put yourself in the shoes of you 2 years in the future. That's how you're going to get to where you want to go to. You want to predict the future? You want to predict your own future? Start acting like the person you're going to become. And write that down. Who is that person? What do they look like? What do you look like in 2 years? How much money do you have in your bank account? What kind of car you're driving? What vacation did you just come back from? So one of the ways that I do that, because I do that too, is I put myself in expensive situations. Because not putting myself in that situation actually costs me more money. Because if I hadn't gone to that dinner, I wouldn't have met the couple sitting right next to us. Blinged out like you wouldn't believe. And we wouldn't have introduced ourselves and talked to them. And those people have a significant amount of money. Had I not been there, I wouldn't have met those people. Yes, the dinner was expensive, but missing out on that opportunity would have cost me a fortune. Because those people were about to get married. She had a huge ring on her finger. Huge. Huge. Those are good people to talk to. Gave them my card, back when I had business cards. Gave them my card, touch base, newly engaged at this restaurant that cost like $2,000 just to get in the door. Okay, so guess what? I tap back into Ryan brand number 1. She's not pregnant that I know of. I can't tell. But what do newly married couples or fiancés want? A new home. You guys should get a new place. Ha 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 ha. Then he followed up with me a couple days later because I planted the seed. Hey, so good meeting you at that dinner. It's amazing. I'm sure you love that place. Go there all the time. I'm like, fuck no, I don't go there all the time. Actually thinking about maybe getting a new apartment before our wedding. I'm like, wow, crazy idea. So wild you came up with that. Could you send me a couple things? My budget is somewhere between $20 and $40 million. Met him 3 weeks later, showed him a couple apartments, sold him a full floor at a tower on Central Park for $55 million. So, Ryan Brand is CEO. I put myself in my shoes 2 years into the future. Had I not gone to that dinner and put myself in that situation, that was definitely uncomfortable. Could I afford it? Yes. Did I want to? No. Am I cheap? Mostly. But it was expensive. But had I not done it, it would have cost me a fortune. Right? Because now that dinner paid for all of these things. You know, I told a story last night at dinner when I first got here about going to St. Bart's because it was super expensive and I really didn't want to go. But out of it came a $40 million deal over ice cream. For those of you who are at dinner, you can tell that story for me later. So Ryan as CEO, now new brand. And because actually I did that deal, then the developer of that building reached out to me and said, do you want to come and sell our penthouse? And the penthouse was $250 million. And you've probably seen that video now, by now, right? Because it's all over social out there. It's like the most branded penthouse of all time. If I don't sell it, I will die. So if someone in this room could sell it for me and bring me the buyer, I will love you forever. Oui, oui? Yep. Okay. So, I'm working on my French. Ryan as CEO, core identity. That's the brand. That's the brand. When we launched the company, we put it into the cover of the Wall Street Journal. Because I had to. Because it was COVID. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do a parade the way I normally would. I had no other opportunities or options. So we put it into the Wall Street Journal. Someone read that and said, what is this thing I read about you starting something called Serhant Signature? Serhant Signature, I had invented, was my high net worth brand. As part of our company, it was the private client division, high net worth. Separate departments, separate marketing resources. And I just invented it, came up with it. Because signature starts with an S, and my last name starts with an S. And I like things that start with S's. So Serhant Signature, it works. They said, okay, we have a client that wants to rent something on the Upper East Side. Do you do rentals? It's like, fuck my life. Yes, I do rentals. And we just started this company, and so I needed to pay for overhead and payroll and all the bills and everything. So I meet this person on the Upper East Side. I show them a bunch of rental apartments. And then they start talking, and he had a big budget. It was like $30,000 to $50,000 a month, right? So it's a big rental. I'm like, why are you renting something in the city? It's a pandemic, right? Like he's like, well, why did you just start your own company? I'm like, I don't understand. That's not the same. They're very different. Very different. Why don't you go buy something? New York City was half off at the time. We were selling apartments that the seller paid $30 million. We were selling them for $15 million because everyone wanted out of New York. The New York Times was saying New York is dead. The city's over forever. And I was like, I don't think so. I think it's going to be okay, right? And so I said, why don't you go buy something? He's like, no, I don't want to buy in New York. Like, why don't you go buy in Florida? I mentioned Florida before. Florida, there's no COVID down there, and there's no taxes compared to New York. Why don't you go declare residency down there? And he said, do you sell in Florida? Yes. I didn't, but I did in that moment. Ryan, 2 years into the future. Core identity, that's my brand. I will be the greatest real estate agent in the history of the state of Florida forever. So yes, I do. Great. Send me a bunch of listings in Florida. Fuck. Okay, great. Perfect. Great. So now I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. So then I called an agent who was in Florida. I'm like, I need you to do me a favor. I'm going to give you a small little percentage if this actually becomes a deal, but can you send me listings? Can you send me opportunities just through Palm Beach, Miami? I sent him a bunch of things. That was like a Tuesday. Fast forward to Wednesday, he reviews and says, yeah, I think we're interested in Palm Beach. Can we go see them? It's like, sure. When do you want to go see them? It's like, how about tomorrow? It's like, tomorrow? It's like, yeah, we'll fly down tomorrow. It's like, tomorrow. Okay, gotcha. Great. He's like, you sure you sell in Florida? Yes. Yes, I do. Absolutely. And so I spent the next day just memorizing information. Memorized the school districts, the zones, the streets, everything. So that when I got there, I actually knew my stuff. I knew my stuff. I knew what I was talking about. I was on top of it. I had the right people to reach out to if I could. But scheduling appointments, I'm used to New York City. Big towers, apartments, they're all stacked up on one top of one another. You can walk to everything if you need to, take the train, whatever. Then you go down to Florida and you got to drive. You got to get in cars, and then it's just this, and then people don't want to show up on time. And so I had a hole for the first thing to show him. And his budget was big. It was like $20 to $50 million. Okay? Budget was big. And so I said, okay, there's a house over here that's asking $140 million. I'm going to show that to him first, just as a wow moment, right? Just for fun. Because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? We're going to walk in and he's going to walk out. I'm going to waste the other agent's time. It's $140 million. How many people are coming to this house? And the house was insane. Palm Beach, on the ocean, first thing we walk in the door. It's nuts. There's like a shark tank in the living room. It's like craziness, completely insane. I've never seen anything like it. But I forgot to tell him what the price was because I was so focused on learning the market. I was so focused on building my brand as Ryan, as CEO. I start my own company. That's my core identity. That's what I'm going to do. And then he comes over to me and he asks me because his wife loves it. He's like, hey, just want to make sure this is in the budget. I'm like, well, so about the budget, it's like gray areas here, really. So this one I brought to you just for fun. We should leave. We should go. He's like, well, what's the price? And he was like, $140 million. $140 million. He's like, excuse me, what? It's like $140 million. We should leave. We're going to go to the next one. No problem. His wife's over there, in the kitchen, loving it. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. We go upstairs, and he comes over to me, and he grabs me by my collar like this. And that's the moment. I'm like, this is the day a billionaire kills me. This is that moment I've been waiting for. My epitaph, obviously, I would die in a listing, right? I'm not going to die from old age. It's going to be during a fucking real estate showing. That's my karma. And I swear to God, my whole life flashed before my eyes, and he was like, why did you bring me here? I was like, and he goes, Because I want it. Like, what? What did you say? What did you say? What? It's like, what do you mean? No. So what do you do when a buyer says they want the house you're in? What do you do? I can't hear. You do what? You do the paperwork? The paperwork? What the fuck? No! What do you do when someone says they want something? You take it away. You take it away. Because if I said, yeah, let's do it, then he'd start to think about it. What's the price? Okay, what are the comps? What's this? What's this? What's this? So the first thing I said was, oh, do you now? No. No. You're not buying this house. Let's get out of here. Go get your wife. Get her wherever she is. Get her. And these other people were getting in the car. All the seats are pulled back. The windows are down. Masks on. Let's go to the next house. Okay? Let's go. No. Absolutely not. It's the same thing in dating. You know? If she's like, I love you, and I'm like, let's get married, fucking love bomb, game over. Right? No. What do you do in that situation? You look at your phone, you're like, sorry, I gotta go. Right? It'll drive, it works every time, though. It works every time. How do you think I'm married? Right? Follow up, follow through, follow back. So, so then we get in the car. I'm like, we're going to the next house. The next house is asking $25 million. We walk in. He's like, this is shit. Like, I don't know if it's really shit. Merde, right? But we should leave. We go to the next house. It's asking $50 million. He walks in, throws up on the floor, walks out. So now I'm like, look, I just screwed it up for me. I should never have shown him that big house. Buyers don't know what they want until you show it to them. But sometimes, maybe you shouldn't show them things that are $140 million. Because the only person that had ever bought a house that expensive at that time, that's 2021, was Jeff Bezos, who spent $165 in in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills. And so when we get in the car, he's like, cancel the rest of the tour. I'm like, shit on my life. Go get me the first one. Like, what do you mean, the first one? He's like, well, what do you think it's worth? I don't know. Hold on, let me go check the comparable sales. 1 second. Let me just look at all the 9-figure sales that have gone on. It's asking 140. I think the open house is going to be busy. They put $100,000 into bathroom number 28. Right? Like, I don't know. Let me see if the sharks come with it. I think there are children that actually get sold with the house at that price. I don't know. He's like, just go figure it out. Just go get it. I want it done by tomorrow at 5. Okay, no problem. He's like, so what do you think it's worth? 118. Because 8s are lucky, right? 8s are lucky. He said, okay, just go do it. Oh, shit. Okay, got it. So we go and we write up the contract, $118 million. We submit it. The seller comes back with like a tiny counter. Tiny. Like, I don't even know what world I'm in right now. I feel like it was just yesterday. I was like dancing around in my cowboy boots trying to impress pregnant women in Starbucks so they would rent an apartment from me. And now I'm here trying to sell a shark to a billionaire, and I wasn't even supposed to be in this situation. I'm a CEO. Think like a CEO. Okay, got it. We get the counter. I go back to him. He's like, I don't care. Just go get it done. Okay, 132, 880. Deal. Just go get it done. And then by 5 o'clock that day, he bought the house. And that deal got done. And it was one of the first deals we did as my new CEO brand. I literally left my cowboy boots back in Texas where I was born, and I come into this new role, and it's like, okay, so building my brand as core identity, really understanding who I want to be, not necessarily today, but 2 years from today. And write that down. I'm the one who does $140 million sales 2 years from now. Maybe it happens tomorrow, maybe it happens in 2 years, but I'm going to start putting myself in those situations. I'm going to be in the expensive restaurants, because if I'm not there, my lost opportunity cost is going to cost future me a fucking fortune. I'm going to put myself in situations where people say, do you sell there? I say yes. When they say, well, when can we go see things? I say, tomorrow. I'm going to put myself in that moment to take advantage of all the opportunities that we create because I want to work so hard, I make luck easy to find me. If you look at all the deals I've ever done now, and it's a lot, you say, wow, look at all that luck. Tons and tons and tons of luck. But you don't know that on that one, I had to follow up for 5 years. I've since sold that 5-year guy. Sold him a place in the Hamptons for $73 million. Sold him a place in Miami for $33 million. Sold him a place in London for $60 million. All because I followed up. But it wasn't just the follow-up. It wasn't just understanding your brand and your core identity, right? Then it's also the consistency. So I wrote a book that came out last week. My 3rd book, last book I'm ever going to write. It's way too hard, takes way too much time. So make sure you read it because I'm done. Consistency in content and consistency in confidence. I think about those 2 things every day when I wake up. So actually, in the news today, I think a couple hours ago, I just sold a house this morning. I'm here, but I sold it this morning. Yeah, don't get so excited. $20 million in Washington Square Park, if you know where that is. But the headline news article, and my publicist is trying to get it changed right now, it says, Ryan Serhant sells historic $20 million townhouse after 12 years on the market. Whoa. Okay. I didn't have it for 12 years. The seller had it for 12 years. I was just the last broker, and he never changed his price. And I had to figure out, okay, so I am Ryan Serhant, CEO, luxury real estate, media, that's my identity, and I've got to sell this thing using consistent content, thought leadership. How am I going to do it that 10 years, 11 years worth of agents haven't been able to do? So there's a show with 2 Chainz, the rapper, you know 2 Chainz? Called The Most Expensivest. Look it up. I don't even know what channel it's on. But I found this and I was like, I wonder if I could reach a really, really cool crowd that way. Because a lot of people stay in that house. The house was famous for renting to people like Travis Scott and Kylie Jenner and different rappers. Random, totally random. So we reach out to 2 Chainz and say, we've got a cool house for you to come do an episode of The Most Expensivest. And they said, okay. Comes through. He's super high. I'm not. Walking through, giving a tour of this house. Someone saw that episode, plus the clips that we took out that we made into social vertical content that we put out over and over and over of this house, and came and bought the house. And it was in the news today because we stayed consistent and consistent and consistent with the content and the thought leadership. Same thing goes for confidence. Like, what is sales? Being in sales is generating leads, but what is selling? Selling is the transfer of enthusiasm and the transfer of confidence. You're transferring confidence all the time. If you're selling your loan, you're selling the real estate, you're transferring that confidence. And you understand that the buyer just wants to know that you know what you're doing. So I transfer that confidence when I'm selling a house like that. Selling it consistently, also with the help of someone like 2 Chainz. So I've got core identity that helps me build my brand to where I want to get to. I understand that my and, right, because you are real estate and what? You are mortgages and what? For a while, I was real estate and cowboy boots, real estate and pregnant women, real estate and reality TV, real estate and media, then real estate and CEO. Now I'm trying to evolve even today. I just put out my first tech product 2 weeks ago. It's called Serhant Simple. It uses AI to empower support for salespeople, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. All the work that a salesperson ever has to do, whether it's setting up appointments, drafting emails, doing marketing, all the stuff that all of these firms all the time say, hey, we can help you if you use this screen, this screen, this screen, this screen, all those screens go away and all the work just gets done for you. It's Amazon Prime for salespeople. And I'm building into that role now because I have to consistently evolve because my audience and my customer base is evolving around me. How many people here came and took a photo with me out there? You. Handful, right? Who said to me when you came up, oh man, I started watching you when I was 15. Man, you were my favorite when I was 14 years old. Makes me feel old. But you've evolved, so I have to evolve. All of us in this room have to evolve. You can't look back on your life last year or even this year and saying, the market, like I was saying before. Because maybe the way you sell or the way you put out your product is not the way the market of the future is going to respond to versus the market of today and the market of yesterday. And that last phase, after core identity and consistent content, is amplification. You're shouting things from the mountaintops. Because success begets success. So I sold that thing for $133 million. What did I do? I made sure everybody knew. Good job to the client. Congratulations to the client. Because that's going to get me my next job and my next listing and my next opportunity. Now that I run my own brokerage, I open up a market and I make sure that other markets are aware. $1 Million Listing New York ran for 10 years. I did 3 spin-off shows, all because I pitched myself to the network, to Bravo. I don't know what network it aired on here, but in the US it airs on a network called Bravo. They did a show based on my first book called Sell It Like Sirhan. That show was my 51st pitch to the network. Because the minute they gave me one TV show, I immediately said, great, now I'm in. I'm going to pitch you every show under the sun. I pitched shows like Real Estate Doctors, different kinds of crazy things. And that was the first one that they actually got. The minute I knew I was starting my own company and it was going to come to an end, the show was going to come to an end, because it didn't make sense anymore for me to be a CEO and be dressed up as a lion with cupcakes and open houses. I said, okay, so now I need my next thing. And then we announced last week, I think it was last week, last Tuesday, we announced that I have a new show coming out now. It comes out on Netflix in a couple months. Are you going to watch it? Yeah? If you don't watch it, I will fly back up here and I will make you all eat all the poutine and you're just going to... And that's that amplification, consistently pushing things forward, doing more today than I did yesterday. And a thought that I want to leave you with, because I know we're going to do some Q&A, and that's my favorite part of doing these things. And I talked about this a little last night too, and I think about it a lot, is how many people in this room are under the age of 35? How many of you are over the age of 35? Okay. So when we're younger, right, we feel that our lives are made up of our wins. But then as we get older, we start thinking about our lives made up of our losses. Like when I was younger, it was just about, all right, I won that job, I won that deal, I won that date, I got that thing. I didn't really think about the things that I lost or the sacrifices that I made. Then you hit 35 and you start getting a little bit older and you realize, now I actually start thinking about the loss. Because my life is actually not just made up of wins, because the wins are going to happen anyway, no matter what. Right? My job is to swing. Actually, my job is to fail. The more I fail, by default, the more I'm going to win, because it just means I'm taking more swings. But if I truly understand that every win comes with a sacrifice, either less family time, less time with my kids, less time with your spouse, less time having fun, less time having friends, less time watching TV. Like I told you at the beginning, I built my company during COVID because everybody else stayed home and watched Netflix. And I used that time to build a company that typically would have taken me probably 2 years to put together, and I put it together in 3 months. Because while everybody else was sheltering in place, oh my gosh, oh the pandemic, oh everything, I did staying at home. And again, a tragic event. If you were sick and family members were sick, terrible. But then a lot of people took that time and didn't do a whole lot with it. And I went off to the side in the shadows and built an entire company. and launched it when everyone said I was totally crazy, but it didn't come without sacrifice. So as you leave here today, think about your wins in terms of what you're going to give up to get them. And every year can be different. This year can be family. Next year can be vacations. I didn't take a day off for my first 3 years. No Christmas, no vacations, no nothing. Because I knew that the only way that I could get up in life was to move faster than everybody else and take their business when they were going elsewhere. So what is that sacrifice that you're willing to make? If you want to be the best, if you want to win, if you want to grow. And then be open and honest with people about what that sacrifice is. Because if you're willing to make those sacrifices, if you're willing to build that brand, to build your own enterprise, to do the biggest deals you've ever done, I promise you all, Montreal or anywhere, your greatest days are yet to come. The biggest deal every single person in this room has ever done, you haven't even done yet. You with me? Right? The greatest clients you've ever had, you haven't even met them yet. So put yourself 2 years in the future, write that out, who is that person, and start acting like that person tomorrow. Build your brand, nothing is stopping you, make the sacrifices, and thank you very much, Montreal.